Hello, my name is Kai, and welcome back to Extra Time, the series where I read your comments, answer your questions, and make clarifications wherever I need to. It would be great if you can subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter, but let's get right into your comments. So the first thing that I want to say is that I currently have a suggestion kind of community post where I'm just asking for if there's any videos that you want to see on Liverpool or other teams, because I'm working on separate videos for Rob Page, Gary Probert, our goalkeeping academy. I'm working on videos for our build-up, just a bunch of different things in the pipeline, so if there's anything else you want to see, just let me know. So the first comment I got was someone just asking what my Insta is. So I have a personal one which I'm not going to give out, but for the purposes of this channel, I did make an Instagram account, which is right here, which has 0 followers because I literally just made it a few minutes ago. But if you want to go ahead and follow that, I'll start posting to that as well. So I got a lot of comments of people talking about how this is effectively just preseason. Like, what's the point of doing analysis of preseason games? Slots just testing to see who he wants to sell, who we need to buy. It's a friendly, I shouldn't stress it. Some people just thought it was completely worthless to do something like this. In my opinion, the point of these videos is to show, who Arne trusts, who he doesn't trust, what young players does he like, does he not like. But I think another major part of these things is just seeing the emergence of some of his ideas. You're not going to see necessarily exactly how he's going to build up, or exactly what the patterns are, or exactly how we're going to score goals, but you're going to see that Arne wants fluidity. He likes a certain build-up structure, the 3-2-5 to 2-3-5 to the 2-2-6. He likes that build-up shape. Whether he does it with a defensive midfielder dropping in or the left back might change. We see that Arne wants his right winger, both of his wingers, to be on the outside with the ability to come in. You can see that he wants the right back to push up into the last line. We're noticing things, and with every passing game we're getting closer and closer to what Arne actually wants, because it's not like he's just treating this like a fitness exercise. There is some level of like, oh, this is what I want to do next season, I'm going to start implementing it. That's what we're looking for. And I think some people who think that I'm overanalyzing or doing this for the purpose of a video, no, it's more so I'm trying to piece together what Arne is going to do before he actually shows us what he's going to do. It's fun in that way. So I saw this comment, and just for this video, I didn't say you should like the video or comment down below because I thought this was really funny. But in future videos, I'm still going to say that. And the reason I say it is because of YouTube's like SEO optimization stuff. It's the same reason why sometimes my video thumbnails and titles are like a little clickbaity, because I'm trying to get more motion in the algorithm. And I'm not really doing YouTube for money or anything like that, but I do want to see my videos reach a larger audience, and that's effectively how you do it. So I'm sorry for that. Americans should stick to baseball. They haven't a clue about football. You know, I don't really like baseball, which is funny because I think the Phillies are a decent team. I don't really like baseball. I'd rather watch cricket, to be honest, but saying I don't have a clue about football is really funny. So I had a lot of people talking about hard to believe that we've signed Ekitike while expecting we would get Isak. Isak coming in means that Ekitike is a bench option. Liverpool want 2 players per position, and we got to think about having a squad of 11. Look, in my opinion, I just can't imagine a world where my team, Liverpool, is gonna have Isak as a starter with Ekitike as a bench player. It seems outrageous to me. I think I've talked about the possibility of doing something like this, moving to some kind of front 2 system, because that gets Szoboszlai in the team and makes Ekitike a backup for these 2 positions. There's also a possibility, which I just thought of recently, that maybe Salah's here, Isak here, Ekitike right behind, sort of like this. Not like a true front 2, Ekitike being more of the withdrawn person at all times, Verts on the left. This is a bit of an odd fit, but I think it's better than Ekitike out wide or Isak out wide. So I've been thinking about it, but to me it's just a lot of money to spend on a backup striker, and if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing, you know. I'm not the one spending the money, but I will be mad if we end up doing that. That is the plan, and we don't end up fully addressing our issues in midfield or defense. Then I'm going to be a little bit mad at that decision, but if we still address all of our issues, I don't really care. Go ahead and buy Rodrigo too while you're at it, you know. I'm not the one to be like pocket watching everything that Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes and John Henry are deciding. So if that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing. And I know you're saying it's like a minutes thing, they'll still split time together, Isak will get injured. I get that, but for me it's just when you buy a player of this status at this price, you gotta be starting him most games. You can rotate a bit for like cup games and lesser league and Champions League games, but for the big games, surely you're not rotating him out, right? He's playing? Surely? I mean, again, I might be wrong. And another thing that someone said was that we should get someone like Rodrigo, Gordon, or Fofana. So those three players are all fundamentally different. Rodrigo, Gordon, Malik, Fofana. Fofana can play both sides. If we're buying Fofana, he's likely a Salah backup and Chiesa's gone, right? If we're buying Rodrigo, he's the starting left winger, so that's different. And there's no reason to buy Gordon. I don't know why you would buy Anthony Gordon. If you want a road runner, buy Kevin Schade. He'd be cheaper and he's a better footballer. He might be a slightly worse finisher, but I mean, he'd be like half the cost and has a way higher ceiling. Gordon can essentially just run into space, cut inside, and shoot. He's completely useless in a low block. I don't know why you would want someone like Anthony Gordon in your team, but I guess he's a scouser, so that's enough for a lot of people. People are saying I'm being very disrespectful to Gakpo. You've never seen Ekitike play, yet you have him in the left wing spot. What I was attempting to do in that video was figuring out how we could play Ekitike and Isak together. Obviously, anyone with a brain knows that Ekitike and Isak are both strikers. Now, what I also know is that both players are capable of playing on the left, because Isak has played on the left before. Ekitike likes to drift from central positions out wide, so he could do it, and I was thinking maybe the plan wasn't to get Ekitike and Isak, but now that we have to, we're looking for solutions. The only other possibility is to play him in a front two, where you try to mimic the Ekitike-Marmoush relationship, but Isak's a much more different player than Omar Marmoush, so there would have to be some fiddling that occurs there. But yes, I have of course seen Ekitike play. He plays for Frankfurt, one of my favorite teams to watch over the years. They've always had great teams, and claiming things baselessly like that just makes you look dumb. And you might be like, why are you giving credit or credence to hate comments? Because I think it's funny. Will you ever take the 1, 2, 3 out of your name? Probably not. If you guys think I should, let me know. I've just had that in my username for years. When I was a kid, I went by IronKai123 online, and then I never changed it. And I used it for pretty much all of my gamer tags and everything. So I might take it out of my name if I reach another like professional level, but to be honest, I just kind of like it. It's just sentimental for me. When you're showing stuff on the tactics board or showing screenshots and drawing on them, I don't think you need to have the talking heads type of thing. There's already stuff to focus on. As someone with ADHD, I remember your first or second ever video, and instead of watching it for 30 minutes, it took me 70 or 80 to watch the whole thing. That's how much the moving white bar messed with my head. Literally had to take breaks. Don't treat your audience like they're all little children raised on TikTok and Fortnite. Some of us have a habit of watching 90-minute long football matches. No, I agree with this. I've been trying to change the audio stuff slowly. I changed the white bar to a black bar. In a future video, I'm going to change this red bar to something that's white or gray, just to attempt to change it and make it blend into the background better. For me, I'm also somebody who has ADHD, for people who don't know. And when I am watching videos that don't have movement, I need like a visual anchor to focus on, something that's moving. Otherwise, I kind of lose my attention. So for me, it's kind of the reverse, which is why I created this when I'm doing videos. But I get that for some people it might have a negative effect, so I'm going to try to meet people halfway and lower the opacity, make it blend in more to the screen as time progresses. I'm going to fiddle with it more and more. So, people have some more suggestions on transfers. I got Eric Martel, Florentino Luis, and Javi Guerra. So, let's talk about these guys. First of all, the only viable player here is Javi Guerra. Statistics aren't great, but he's a good carrier, decent passer. He's a good all-around midfielder. He could play as a 6, an 8, or a 10. Very useful for slot. He'd be a very good flexible player for the team. He'd also be really gettable because it's not like Valencia have a lot of money. They're kind of broke. And he could play any of these three positions. He could even play as a false 9 in theory. He's tall, he's athletic, he would translate well to the Prem, technical enough. He would never really be a starter for Liverpool. He could potentially develop into one, but I doubt it. But easily a flexible player that we could play in any of these positions. 100% I would be down to sign someone like Javi Guerra. The other two suggestions, on the other hand, aren't as good, and I'm going to explain why. First one is Florentino Luis. Anyone who's watched Florentino Luis knows that he's a destroyer, right? He's a defensive midfielder who tackles. He boasts these insane statistics statistics for interceptions and aerials and clearances. But what you guys don't understand is that Florentino Luis, first of all, is incredibly limited in possession. Horrible passer, can't carry the ball, offers no offensive anything. He's getting fully replaced in Benfica with the amazing Richard Rios and Enzo Barrenechea pivot. And the problem that I have with Florentino Luis is just all he is out of possession, and even his out of possession isn't that good. When he goes in for a tackle, it takes him way too long to get up. He goes for reckless challenges, very brutal. Yeah, he could play as a quote-unquote 6, but realistically, he does more harm than good, and he would get murdered in the Prem. So, no to Florentino Luis. Another option is Eric Martel. Cologne played in the second Bundesliga this season. I've only ever watched Martel in the season prior to that. I was able to watch a couple of clips and stretches from matches that I was able to find online on Eric Martel. What I'll say is I quite like him more when he's in a more center back style position than as a defensive midfielder. He's actually a great tackler. He's great at all of the defensive actions, but again, he's so limited in possession that I don't think he would work in a slot team. If you wanted an Endo replacement, sure, but he would be too expensive for that. I'd rather just keep Endo. So for me, it's a no for Eric Martel. If you are looking for a German midfielder who would fit this team, I would think maybe Anton Stack and also Rocco Reitz. Those two players I would definitely look at, and Pavlovic, but Bayern won't let us get him. But no to Eric Martel. So some people were talking about the under 18s. I'm going to watch a lot of the under 18s this season. I've only really watched some of Alvin Amen. He was injured at times towards the beginning of the season, so I didn't get to see a lot. Clay Ewig, I also really like him. He's really good. I want to see more from him as well next season, so I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on both of these guys because I'm not sure Clay Ewig will ever make it at Liverpool, but Alvin Amen definitely has a shot, so I do want to watch him more this season. And I think I'm not going to do an under 18 squad analysis, but this season I'm going to watch them much more closely and have one by the end of the season. So people are saying if Ekitike is a linker and not a finisher, why is he different than Nunes? Nunes isn't really a linker. Nunes is just kind of a selfless player. He does what Salah effectively wants, and he only really links well with Salah. There's no one else on the pitch where it's like incredible. I mean, he had that one backheel flick against Yokohama towards Jeremy Frimpong, but it's not frequent enough. Nunes, his first touch isn't great all the time. His technique isn't great all the time. It's not consistent. Ekitike is built more for it, so he's much better at it. And people are saying that his XG tanked because he missed pens and that he's not an overall bad finisher. The XG stats are messed up, and I looked into this, and yes, it's true. He actually roughly, depending on the model, overperformed his XG or was roughly around his XG. But what I want to say is that the issue that I have with Ekitike, stats inform my decisions, but watching the game is what I care about more than statistics. When I'm watching Ekitike play, his finishing, when it's in like these simple in-box finishes where it's like you would expect him to score, he does. The problem I have is he'll get into a position where I would expect him to get the ball on target. Even if it's a difficult angle, I'd expect it to go on target or near the posts, even if it goes wide. And instead, he just gets these really erratic finishes where the ball just goes in a random direction. And that's what I consider more problematic, is just when the shot isn't clear cut, it seems like he just hits it and it goes wherever. And for me, in my personal opinion, I don't think that's a good finisher. I think that's just like an okay finisher. Bad might be a stretch, and if I said bad, I'm sorry, but I think he's just an okay finisher. I think he can definitely develop into a much better finisher, but I don't think that'll happen for about 1 to 2 seasons. So in the short term, he'll be a very good link-up player and maximize the likes of Salah, Wirtz, and whoever the left winger is. Hey, specific question, how do you choose the games you use to analyze a player in depth? Like in this case, did you just pick a few random games to analyze and extract panels, or is there any criteria behind the choices? I recently started to check out players that are rumored to come to my team, Vitoria SC, and I always check the stats and then search games. So what I do is I go to sites like Footballia, Full Match Replays, other places, and I attempt to find all of the games that I can on a player. Then what I do is I rapidly move through the games and look for situations where the player is making good movement off the ball or doing good things on the ball, like every time they're on the ball. And what I watch is, okay, I see a player do something, great. I take note of it on a piece of paper. And as I'm watching, I'm just skipping through, right? So the amount of time it takes me to peruse through an entire 90 is like roughly 10 minutes. 10 to 30 minutes depending on the game. I go through all the games that I can, which is roughly like usually 11 or 12 games that I can find online in good quality. I'll go through them. Once I see an action repeated enough, I take out the panel of a sequence of it and put it in. And I try not to repeat showing the same things over and over again because it's a bit repetitive. And I just tell you that if I've seen something similar to it in other games, which is why I'm showing you this sequence. Like, it's not like a one-time thing that they did, if that makes sense. So then the last question for this extra time is, how would you set up England for the 2026 World Cup? Since we're 1 year away, it'd be interesting to see how similar or different your starting 11 would be to the real one. So I'll do a more formal video on England later. Of course, I'm an American, but I watch so much Prem that I do understand the English team and who you should have. But I'll give you a brief description or a little bit of an insight into what I'm thinking at the moment. So in this current iteration of the England team, this is how I would line up. Lewis Hall, Jared Branthwaite, Mark Gahey, Trent, Rice, Wharton, Bellingham, Gordon, Saka, Kane. The reason I have Anthony Gordon here is because there's no pace in this team, so there needs to at least be somebody. And it's a Tuchel team, so it's not like we're going to do intricate passing movements and we're playing like Barca, so you need someone like Gordon. Of course, Kane starts. He's the best number 9 that they have. The 10 position's really hard for me, but I think as of right now, it's going to be Jude. I know he's injured. If it wasn't Jude, I guess it would have to be Cole Palmer, but realistically, it's going to be Jude. I don't think you can really play Jude in a double pivot. Realistically, Jude can only play as a 10, false 9, or as a 8 on either side of a single pivot in a 4-3-3. And if England wanted to do a 4-3-3, I actually don't hate this or this as a possibility either. But this is how I would line up the team. In terms of other players that you bring in the squad, you obviously bring Morgan Rogers. You obviously want to bring someone like Cole Palmer. You obviously want to bring people like Curtis Jones. I would bring someone like Conor Gallagher along. Maybe even bring an Archie Gray. As for goalkeepers, probably a Trafford, a Pope. In terms of your left back, I'd bring Miles Lewis-Skelly. I think it's over for Luke Shaw and a lot of the older players. Trent's backup should be Livramento because you can't really trust Reece James to be fit. Branthwaite's backup should be Levi Colwill. Kwanzaa is the backup to Gahey. Maybe if you want a 5th center back, you bring the likes of Trevor Chalobah in or Joe Gomez in, if that's what you want. It's also possible that you bring in someone like Jamie Bino-Gittins long term on the left. It's also way too early for Rio, so we're not even going to consider it. Backup striker, Watkins potentially. I might go Solanke because I think Watkins is going to decline this season. Backup for Bukayo Saka seems obvious to me. It has to be Jared Bowen. I think your other option is to play Rodgers as the right winger and then bring in someone like Eberiche Eze to cover Gordon. These are the ideas that I'd have, but in no world do you bring Tony, Trippier. I don't think you ever bring Walker. You don't bring Grealish. You don't bring Stones. You don't bring Ramsdale. No Henderson, no Maguire. A lot of these players are just gone. Kobe Mainu potentially, Jed Spence potentially, Nwaneri. There's a bunch of these different players that I would start thinking about, but it might be a little bit too early. And then for others, it's way past their prime. Like Luke Shaw will never see this England team again if I was in charge. But you can see what my first 11 would be if I were England manager. I don't think that this is going to be what Tuchel picks because I think that he's going to go with more experience and dressing room nonsense or whatever. But realistically, that would be the team that I would pick for England in the 2026 World Cup. But that is it for this video. If you liked the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter. And as always, thanks for watching.